Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about Tropical Storm Danielle, which has formed in the North Atlantic. Now, this was not the system that we expected to become Danielle. That was this system down here, but nonetheless, Danielle is here. It is the first named storm, I believe, in 6 to 8 weeks. So we are finally seeing some activity in the Atlantic. Let's go over some of the details here, starting off with our maximum sustained winds. Danielle has maximum sustained winds of, I believe this actually changed recently, so let's reload it, 60 miles an hour, and is rapidly intensifying with minimum central pressure of 1,005 millibars and is moving east at 2 miles an hour. This storm is fairly static in its actual progression, movement-wise, but it is using all that energy in the North Atlantic to really strengthen at the moment. We also have here our other details. This is the forecast cone issued by the National Hurricane Center, and you can see that the storm stays stationary for about 3 days and then starts to move to the northeast at hurricane strength. So the National Hurricane Center is expecting this to become a hurricane between now and Sunday. It is going to be stagnant here, so I really can't see exactly when they think it is. I'd have to have a better resolution map. But we can tell our arrival time of winds with wind speed probabilities turned on. And these are probabilities of tropical storm force winds. And you can see here between now and Saturday at 8 a.m. there's a 100% chance of tropical storm force winds. We have a progressively lower amount as you continue to move on. That is due to uncertainty. Of course, predicting 5 days out isn't the easiest thing in the world. So the probabilities do go down, but the fact that we see 100 here visibly is actually definitely different. And it's a huge blob, not just the center of the system. So let's continue on here. I do want to show the hurricane wind speed probabilities. Right now, the hurricane wind speed probabilities is around 70 miles an hour. And again, this storm is going to be staying pretty much in place, so 70% chance is probably over the next 3 days. So it is a little bit of a give or take there. Here's the storm on satellite imagery, and you can see that it's a fairly small system. You can see the center of the storm is right here. You have good thunderstorm development around the storm and some outer bands as well. So this storm is in the middle of the North Atlantic, so this is definitely a better looking system for a storm that is that far north. So we're going to start off here with our current storm information from both Tropical Tidbits and Weather Nerds. Starting off here with our global hurricane models, you can see that all of them have this storm staying fairly stagnant for the next 72 hours, 3 days. And then after that point, we start to see these models project a northeasterly movement, and then eventually starting to curl back even towards the east. So definitely going to be seeing some movement after 3 days, but for the next 3 days, going to be seeing some static movement. The GEFS is also showing that, but also showing a lot of these spaghetti strains, which is what I like to call them, maybe heading off into Greenland or over to the Azores. Not just that northeasterly track that the median here, this black line, is showing. It is also showing a very progressively strengthening low. Right now, 1,011 millibars, then to 973 in 144 hours, and by 192 is back up to 984. The GEFS also shows that stagnant movement for the next 3 days at 1,017 millibars, moving into that northeast to east movement down all the way to 988 millibars at about 170 hours from now. Now, that is where this comes into play. This is the intensity guidance. And actually, let's look at the European model real quick. Same deal here. Just wanted to show that the European model is also showing that northeast track. But the intensity guidance is where those two differ. The GFS and the European model don't really agree too much on the strength of the storm. Most models do have this becoming a Category 1 or Category 2 storm. Most models that have this storm becoming a Category 1 have it becoming a hurricane in the next 36 hours. So while it's stagnant and not moving, it's churning in the North Atlantic, picking up all of that moisture and continuing to strengthen between the next even 12 to 36 hours. We could be seeing this become a hurricane. Now, there are some storm systems that can develop into Category 2 storms that far north. Now, this storm does have a chance. A few models here show that this is going to strengthen into a Category 2 storm and maybe even a Category 3 storm. But the most common track here is a Category 1 hurricane. That is where most of the models are. There are a few that have the storm not making it to hurricane status for, the next 3 to 5 days. But eventually, every single model on this graph has this storm becoming a hurricane. So it is getting a lot more likely that we see a hurricane, the first hurricane of the year, potentially, in the Atlantic from this storm. So here is the GFS, and here is Danielle. You can see just on longitude with DC. And you can see how the GFS has the storm slowly strengthening here. By Saturday, it's at 987 millibars, basically in the same spot, and continuing to drop off 973 millibars, moving into Labor Day, and starting that northeastward movement all the way down to 969 millibars there. And eventually the storm does get far enough north where it does become an extratropical cyclone, where it doesn't possess any of those tropical characteristics anymore, and starts to actually get disintegrated by another system that might be on the ups as this storm is starting to deteriorate. So that is one possible way that this storm could go. The other possibility here is the European model, showing this storm hovering around 1,000 millibars into Saturday, and we can see here that is when the rapid growth starts to happen into the 990s and into, I think it tops out, in the 980s. This is Labor Day here, 988 millibars, and starting that northeastward motion down into the 970s now is starting to become a extratropical cyclone, and eventually starts to move off even towards Greenland there. So that is another possibility for this storm. So all in all, really starting to see the Atlantic start to churn up now. We should be seeing a lot more tropical systems in the Atlantic. But that is all the information that I have for today. Make sure to stay tuned here for more tropical coverage. We'll be covering the other systems in the Atlantic, as well as the possibility of a few more storms in the East Pacific. So stay tuned here by subscribing and hitting the bell. But that is all the information that I have on this storm for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.